Many Chinese learners are intimidated by Chinese written system and struggle to read and write Chinese characters, especially for beginners. I'm creating a series of videos to help beginners to navigate character learning. This is the very first video. In this video, I'll demystify the structure of Chinese characters and how the structure is corresponded to semantics and phonetics. I will also guide you step by step on how to train your eyes to read Chinese characters more efficiently. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Savannah, who's a Chinese teacher here to help you to learn Chinese the right way. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. Before addressing the structure of Chinese characters, I want to first talk about how Chinese characters are corresponded to phonetics, which is pronunciation. First, I want to introduce a concept of syllable. In linguistics, the number of syllables is counted by the number of vowels in a word. Think of the English word understand. There are 3 vowels, which means there are 3 syllables. Understand. In Chinese, one character is corresponded to only 1 syllable. As we learned, one Chinese pinyin syllable consists of initial, which is a consonant, a final, which is a vowel, and a tone. For example, this character, da, da. This is 1 syllable. It only consists of 1 vowel. This character, xiao, means small. In this character, xi is the initial, the consonant. Yi ao is considered as a compound final. E is transitional final, which means we don't stress E. It's more like a transitional sound inside. Ao is major final. So we consider this as 1 final. If you're not familiar with the concept of final, simple final, and compound finals, feel free to check out my playlist of pinyin learning. Now let's take a look at the shape of the whole character. Chinese characters are considered square-shaped characters. That's why we also call them 方块字. 方块 means square. 字 means characters. They may not seem in square shape to you now, but technically, Chinese characters are supposed to fit in square-shaped boxes, which means they're not supposed to be too tall, too skinny, or too wide, too chubby. Children will use calligraphy model and these worksheets to learn how to write characters more beautifully. The lines that designed in those worksheets are to help children determine where strokes start and end. Now let me teach you how to train your eyes to read Chinese characters more efficiently. When you first read Chinese characters, they may look like a bunch of lines stacked up together, but from now on, I want you to teach your brain and eyes to look at Chinese characters not by line, but by part or component. For instance, when you see this character, you want to look at the 2 parts this character has, one on the left and one on the right. These 2 components are actually 2 simple characters. And when we combine them, we tend to write them a little bit skinnier so that they can fit in square shape. And you may see these simple components sometimes in other characters. Let's take a look at these 3 characters. Do you see any component that's familiar to you? The component on the right of these 3 characters are the same as the left part of the first character I showed you. In the future, we'll start from simple characters, which only have a small amount of strokes, and they're usually the components in more complex characters. Many simple characters are considered pictographic characters, which means the meaning of these characters are expressed by drawing the appearance of the objects. However, the pictographic approach has its limitation. It can only describe objects or simple ideas. Therefore, pictographic characters are usually simple characters, meaning they only consist of 1 simple component. If you learn the simple characters very well, it will help you acquire more characters in the long run. In a future video, I'll teach you simple characters 1 by 1, stroke by stroke. Now let's talk about the structure of Chinese characters. More than 80% of Chinese characters are pictophonetic characters. The component in a character indicating its meaning is called radical. You can think of it as a way to index and categorize characters by broad meaning. Take a look at these characters. All these characters share the same component on the left-hand side. This is a very common radical, female radical. And the meaning of all these characters have something to do with female. Here are some key points about radicals to help you understand this concept. First, the form and position of a radical always remains the same. We don't change it around. The female radical in these characters always remain on the left-hand side, and not all the radicals are on the left-hand side. Some radicals are on the right-hand side, on the top, at the bottom, or provide a frame outside the other component, or on the outside as a semi-enclosure. And there are about 200 common Chinese radicals. We'll learn one by one in the future. The radical usually provides the broad meaning of the character. What does the other component do? The other component usually provides the information of the pronunciation of the character. Let's use the same characters. These three characters have different radicals on the left-hand side, but three of them share the same component on the right-hand side that is pronounced as bai. These three characters are respectively pronounced as pai, bo, bo. The second and third characters are both pronounced as bo. They share the same initial, the same consonant as bai. But the first character, pai, it shares the same vowel, the same final with bai. That's why the other components can only provide the clues, the possible pronunciation of the whole character. So far, we have learned the structure of the characters and how to train our eyes and brain to look at characters by component. Now, let's break it down into strokes. Don't be intimidated by all these stacked up strokes. There are only 8 basic strokes. They are 横, 竖, 点, 提, 撇, 捺, 勾, 弯, and there are other strokes that are combined by these basic strokes, like 横折, 竖折, 竖弯, 竖钩, 竖弯钩. The way these strokes are written are fixed. For example, 横, horizontal. We always write it from left to right. 竖钩 is always written from top to the bottom and lift up a little bit to the left. That is a hook. If you do the same thing to the right, we call that thing a T, a lift. Another thing about strokes is that when we write characters, there are some general rules for stroke order, such as from left to right, from top to bottom. It's based on the structure of the character. If there's a frame, we write part of the frame first and write a component inside and then close it. In future videos, I'll break down these rules by teaching you how to write characters stroke by stroke. After you master these stroke order rules, trust me, you will not feel restrained by these rules. They can only help you write more smoothly and beautifully. Alright, this is all for this video. Feel free to leave any questions in the comments. In the next video, I'll show you step by step how to write some simple characters and some common Chinese radicals. I'll see you next time. 再见。